Guess what, everybody? It's Tesla Investor Day, and we have an appetizer to whet your appetite. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All, so it's just a few hours until Tesla's official Investor Day, which is 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. I think Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and wherever else you are in the world. So it's just a few hours away, but it actually turns out that yesterday the president of Mexico kind of gave away one of the secrets. I assume that this was officially allowed and it wasn't like letting something leak. But anyway, this is really big news, and it's something that I have to give myself a little pat on the back for predicting, which is that the next Tesla Gigafactory is going to be in Mexico. So I'll go through this Reuters article dated February 28th of 2023, and of course put a link to it in the description if you want to read it. Titled, Tesla Plant Gets Green Light in Northern Mexico. And just as a real quick aside, just so that you know where this is located as you're looking at this is Santa Catarina, which is close to Monterrey. So I don't know if you want to consider it either one. I guess, it's effectively probably going to be someplace in this area. But if we zoom out, we can see that this goes straight shot through Laredo. And there's a nice highway that just goes right through here, through the US border into Laredo, Texas, through San Antonio and up to Austin. So it's a real straight shot. And just for reference, the driving time from Monterrey to Austin, Texas is about 6.5 or 7 hours, depending on traffic and so forth. So, it's not super close, but in the grand scheme of things and considering how far away everything is in this part of the country, it's actually not a bad deal to be able to manufacture in Mexico, but only have it a few hours away from Austin and your global headquarters. So back to the article. Mexico City, February 28th. Tesla Incorporated will build a new assembly plant in northern Mexico, the country's president announced on Tuesday, marking a push by the electric vehicle maker to broaden operations outside the United States in a deal an official said was worth over $5 billion. And as we'll look at, it could actually be closer to $10 billion over time. Forgive me for butchering this person's name, I'll do my best here. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said the whole Tesla company was coming to Mexico to build a, quote, very big automotive plant, noting that potential investments in batteries was still pending. He did not reveal what models it would produce. And that is rather interesting because, of course, the rumor is that it would be producing either the Project Highland Model 3 or potentially the Model Tau, the new, cheaper Tesla that might come out, or potentially the Robotaxi as well. And of course, there's a lot of logic to that if they were building a less expensive car there, because Mexico, the labor costs are less expensive than in the United States. So, in order to build a less expensive car and still have good profit margins, this would be the obvious place for Tesla to do it in the Western Hemisphere. Continuing on, one Mexican official said the plant would be a Tesla Gigafactory that could produce the semi-truck, roadster sports car, and potentially other vehicles. I think the first two are probably red herrings. It's probably the other vehicles that's the real thing. Another official said the plant could produce a kind of sport utility vehicle. Continuing on, Tesla will likely give details of its plans on Wednesday, Mexico's government said, and of course that's Investor Day, that's today. So we should find out within hours more details about this whole deal. Lopez Obrador's announcement of the plant in Monterrey metropolitan area dispelled recent concerns that he could upend the investment by imposing conditions on the company due to problems over a lack of water in the arid border region. Quote, this will represent a considerable investment and many, many jobs, end quote, Lopez Obrador told reporters, saying Chief Executive Elon Musk had been receptive to Mexico's concerns and made commitments on how to address the shortage of water. That would in part involve Tesla recycling water used in the assembly process, the president said. This is also interesting because one of the largest water usage areas for a factory is the paint shop. And so if they did actually build the Cybertruck there, or if my Model 2 idea, which I talked about 3 years ago now, is actually going to come true, which was that the Model 2 would be a stainless steel exoskeleton in addition to what the Cybertruck is, so that it doesn't need paint, that would reduce the amount of water that would be necessary in a factory like this by quite a bit. So that could be part of what's going on with this whole thing. That's totally my speculation, of course. That's not part of this article. Continuing on, Marta Delgado, a Mexican deputy foreign minister, told Milenio Televisión the investment was worth in excess of $5 billion and that Tesla would produce about 1 million vehicles a year there for domestic and international markets. Separately, a Mexican source with knowledge of the matter said the initial investment will be worth around $1 billion, and further phases could bring total spending to $10 billion, which is where I got my $10 billion figure. Musk has said for months that the EV maker will announce a new factory, and he is set to discuss expansion plans, next-generation vehicle platforms, and other topics at, quote, Investor Day on Wednesday. The company is also expected to give details of a new, cheaper model of vehicle at the event. The news is a boost for Mexico, which is working to establish itself as a hub for the so-called nearshoring of investment, capitalizing on geopolitical tensions and supply chain disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic by luring manufacturing capacity to North America and away from Asia, and specifically China. Anyway, this is a really good play on Mexico's part. The ability to manufacture goods in a less expensive labor market, but that is much closer to the United States, is a huge win for Tesla, of course, but also a huge win for Mexico. And it is a way to pull battery manufacturing, car manufacturing, things like that away from East Asia and specifically China, and also to enable Tesla to be able to be eligible for the $7,500 tax credits. So if you don't know that, North America is the zone. It's not just the United States that these cars have to be constructed in. It's Mexico, Canada, and the United States. So if something is manufactured in Mexico and then is transported into the United States, it's still eligible for the $7,500 tax credit. Now, you can agree with this or disagree with it, but that's the facts of the matter, and Tesla is playing the hand that they are dealt, and it's a good play. And in case you thought this was a done deal for a long time, this part is really interesting. López Obrador said Mexico and Tesla had reached agreement after a call with Musk on Monday, that's like 2 days ago, following a separate conversation he said the two held late last week. And then we get some local color on this article. The plant will be built in Santa Catarina in the greater Monterrey area, said the municipality's mayor, Jesus Nava, echoing reports that have circulated for weeks. Quote, Santa Catarina will have the eyes of the world, he said on Instagram. In another video captioned, quote, $10 billion in bright red, Nava said Tesla's investment would be 5 times the private investment in the municipality over the past decade. So this is great news for the Monterrey and Santa Catarina area, obviously. Mexican Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard hailed the news on Twitter, calling it the result of 14 months of patient labor. Wow, that is a long time. Mexican-made electric cars shipped to the United States, as I said, qualify for subsidies provided by the Biden administration to boost EV adoption, according to industry officials. The call between Musk and the Mexican president took place after López Obrador had on Friday stirred fears he might block the investment in Monterrey if water was too scarce there. López Obrador said he had told Musk Mexico would not be granting subsidies to make batteries or semiconductors. So it sounds like it's going to be an automobile manufacturing plant and not a battery manufacturing plant. Then we get into some details about Mexico's governance and their nationalism and things like that. But I'll just finish up what we're going to talk about today. And like I said, I'll leave a link to the entire article so you can read it in the description if you're interested. Anyway, Antonio Ocoranza, head of consulting group Oco Reputacion, said the president ultimately showed common sense in allowing such a major deal, and this is a huge deal, which should attract further investment, and that is also correct. Quote, the president knows how far to push it, he said. Behind his rhetoric and the ideological zeal, there's pragmatism. Speculation about Tesla going to Mexico has circulated for months, and the plant promises to be one of the major investments of the López Obrador administration. So there you have it. Consider this an hors d'oeuvre for investment day. This is great news. It's logical that Tesla would put a factory in Mexico to at least manufacture cars, maybe eventually to manufacture batteries as well. But again, depending on the process involved and everything, that could take a lot of water. And so that could be something that Tesla wants to avoid because they might run afoul of the water restrictions because it is very, very arid down in that part of the world. But anyway, this is huge news for Mexico, a super smart move on Tesla's part, really good move on Mexico's part to make this, to sweeten the deal enough that Tesla wants to move there. And I think this is definitely a win-win for Tesla and for Mexico and for us consumers as well, because ultimately it will drive the cost of vehicles in the Americas down by some percentage because the costs of building a vehicle in Mexico are cheaper than building in the United States. So with that, I'll let you all go for the day, and we will, of course, watch with bated breath what happens during Investor Day itself. So of course, be sure to tune in on Tesla's live stream, which starts at 3 p.m. Central Time. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it fun and interesting and thought-provoking. If you did, please do like it so other people can find it. And please do consider subscribing. We are just a couple of hundred away from 50,000 subscribers, which is just amazing. So thank you all so much for subscribing and for watching and all of that support. I truly do appreciate it. And speaking of appreciation, I truly do appreciate all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your support. It's going to be a blast this evening being on Discord and chatting about what's going on with Investor Day and Elon Musk and other people's speeches while that's going on. So anyway, if you want to join the team before then, just check out the link in the description. Join, become part of the Patreon discussion on Discord, and have fun with us. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have TeslaBot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, Success is a Possible Outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on and on. So check it out. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a solar roof, a power wall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.